John Dewey and Herbert Thielen are credited with Group Investigation Model. In this model, students are organized into problem-solving groups to attack academic problems and are taught democratic procedures and scientific methods of inquiry as they proceed. The group process is organized and defined by the teacher. Democratic process, being referred to as classroom groups, to do any or all of the following tasks. The following tasks are 1. Develop a social system. 2. Conduct scientific method and inquiry. 3. Use inquiry to solve a social or interpersonal problem. 4. Provide an experience-based learning situation. All right, class, good morning.
Good morning.
Today we're going to go ahead and we are going to discuss your journalistic rights. Okay? So imagine how you would feel if if the principal came to school and suddenly said and made a rule against wearing T-shirts that represented wearing or T-shirts that had anything to do with music groups or bands, or said anything about video games on them, or had rainbows. And what if the principal came in and said that you couldn't wear a shirt that had the color purple in it? Imagine how you would feel. So take a moment and kind of think about that. All right, so in your groups, you have a paper and it has 3 questions on it, okay? Those 3 questions are, what are your rights? Does your right to freedom of speech exist at school as it does outside of the class or outside of school? And how does the freedom of speech affect your journalistic right? So those are 3 questions that we're going to be looking at today. So, would somebody like to answer a question? How would you feel if the principal came in and said that you couldn't wear a shirt that had the color purple in it? Sarah?
Very bad.
You'd feel very bad? Okay. Hayden, how would you feel?
I'd be upset because they're basically saying I can't wear something just because of a color when I have the right to bear arms, speech.
Okay. All right, great answer. All right, anybody else want to share how you would feel? Kylene, you like music, so what if the principal came in and said that you couldn't wear a Fall Out Boy shirt to school? How would you feel about it? How would you feel? Katie, you're in band. How would you feel?
Upset because I should have the right to wear a shirt if it's not inappropriate or anything.
Okay, so if it's not inappropriate, you feel like you should be able to wear it. Okay. So that's going to kind of get us started. And that's kind of where we're going to be going today as far as our inquiry on our lesson. Our objective is to identify what freedom of speech is. You're going to get to learn about the background of a very famous case in history from the Supreme Court called Tinker versus Des Moines ISD. And then you're going to get to inquire information through the use of the computer to learn information about your journalistic rights. So as a journalist, you have some specific rights. So at school, do we have rules? Do you have rights at school? Okay. Are your rights at school the same as they are outside of school? Yes? No? Don't know? Okay. Well, those are some things that we're going to be looking at today. Okay? So, we're going to be working in groups, and your groups have already been decided for you. We have groups of 3, and you're going to be given some tasks for our group inquiry. The first task that you're going to be doing is you're going to be watching a video, okay? And it's very similar to this question here, but you're going to watch a video, and then you are going to, as a group, respond to some questions about the video. The second task is you're going to be looking at this piece of paper here that has the Tinker versus Des Moines ISD School District Supreme Court case, and it just kind of summarizes it for you, okay? That's the second task. The third task is your group, as a group, someone in your group is going to be the scribe, so you're going to get to pick the scribe, and you're going to mark up this Supreme Court case with some given directions. Task number 4 is what if. So there are some what if questions that you're going to be looking at, and those questions will be on Google Docs, and you'll make those answer selections, and then you'll submit the form to me through Google Docs. Task 5 asks a question. It's called What About Ben? And Ben is a boy that you will get to meet from task 1 in the video that we're watching. And then your 6th task is, as a group, you're going to reflect upon what you've learned through your inquiry of our objectives that we have set about, and then you're going to present what you've learned to the class. Okay, does everybody understand? All right, so before we break up into our groups and I allow you to go ahead and start, let's go ahead and champ out how we what our classroom behavior is going to be and how we behave during group activities in here. Okay, so Devlin, can you tell me what our C will be?
Conversation.
Okay, it's going to be conversation. And in groups, how are we going to be speaking?
Quietly.
We're going to be speaking quietly to each other. So we're going to have an inside voice. You don't have to whisper. So we're going to be able to hear people in class, but we're just not going to be screaming at each other. Sid, what is our H? H is, how do you ask for help? So how are we going to be asking for help? You can raise your hand. What's another way when we're in groups that we can ask for help? Katie?
Ask 3 before me.
Okay, ask 3 before me. So you can ask, you've got 3 people in your group, ask some of your group members, and then you can come and ask me. So Sarah, what is our activity going to be? That would be the A.
Group work or...
We're going to be doing group work with the 3 people in our group, okay? Hayden, what's our movement going to be during this activity?
Get and return supplies.
Okay, so you can get and return supplies, you can move around. Are you going to be able to use the computer to help you answer some of your questions?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, so you're going to be able to have some movement in the classroom. And Kylene, what is P for participation?
Discussing.
Okay, so you're going to be discussing with your group and making sure that everybody is doing what they're supposed to be doing. Okay, do we have any questions? All right, so your job today is to be a journalistic investigator, okay? And you're going to use the internet, and you are going to go through these 6 tasks, and you are going to look to identify what your rights, your journalistic rights are for the freedom of speech, and how is your freedom defined at school? So is there a difference between your freedoms at school and your freedoms outside of school? Okay, any questions? All right. Y'all can go ahead and you can start your group work.
Okay.
This is Our Point Students at 6 o'clock with Amber Dixon, meteorologist, and our #1 news anchor, Giselle Fuente, with breaking news.
define it in its paragraph 4. Threats are or acts of violence of the school groups and outside class. A few students made nasty remarks to those who wore armbands.
Very good, very good. All right, so y'all are working on some of your questions. What are your rights? How does your right of freedom of speech exist at school, and how does it exist outside of school? And how does freedom of speech affect your journalistic rights? So y'all as a group are going to be answering these questions. So what are your rights?
A lot of things. I guess I'll write it. What do you want me to write?
Religion.
Suggestions from this one. Speech.
5 tasks, and your job was to be an investigative journalist and find out about your rights as a journalist, and to also find out about this famous Tinker versus Des Moines ISD case. So we've chosen one person from each group who's going to present what they have learned. So Sid, can you tell us what you learned about the Tinker background, the Tinker versus Des Moines ISD case in regards to Ben? We saw Ben in the video. What did you learn from Ben's experience and from reading this information?
The principal must have good evidence to believe that banned T-shirts will be disruptive, and student expression is disruptive if it disrupts class or causes trouble between classes.
Very good. So if our principal came in and said that you can't wear a T-shirt that relates to music groups or video games or rainbows or the color of purple between classes, okay, between classes. All right, so our second group, Katie, let's go back to those original 3 questions that we originally talked about when we first started our inquiry task about our freedom of speech. What did you find out through the investigation of the inquiry of these 5 tasks? What did your group find out?
That our rights are religion, freedom of speech, press and assembly,
Okay.
and our freedom of speech is at school different than outside of school.
Okay, so we have the freedom of speech here at school, but outside of school it's different. Why is it different in school?
Because certain things you say can be determined as disruptive.
Very good. All right. What else did y'all learn?
And how does the freedom of speech affect your journalistic right? Speech isn't prohibited unless there is a good evidence that the speech will not be disruptive in school setting.
Very good. All right, guys. So y'all are ready to now go out and be journalists, and you've learned some of the rules as a journalist and your freedom of speech. Good job. All right. Y'all have a great afternoon.